Yes, the answer is in the affirmative. We have made laws regulating marriage, and the Parliament has made the following for your information. Marriage Act, Customary Marriages Act, the Mohammedan Marriages Act, divorce, we regulate those. So, in the same vein, pursuant to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, particularly Article 31, yes, we made a law emphasizing the abolition of
there's a difference between same-sex relation and same-sex marriage. Correct. So you're talking about what? Same-sex relation, or you're stopping same-sex marriage?
Both. When you look at that law, we are abolishing both.
Let me ask, how is it that when two consenting adults decide to do what they choose to do in the privacy of their room, how does that become a headache of Parliament or even the government of Uganda?
Have you been living in Uganda and watching the videos that are flying, the photographs that are flying all over, the recruitment of our children into homosexuality? Yes, in Busiro.
They are recruiting in your constituency?
They have been recruiting everywhere, in Busiro, in Jinja, in Kampala here. They've been recruiting, publishing in magazines. You go to school libraries and you find those books.
So how does a school allow information that is going to be put in the library, yet they are the gatekeepers?
Well, and
how does a country allow literature to come into their country, yet they are supposed to go through customs and supposed to be checked from there? Does that require Parliament to go and legislate what is going to be put in the library? But
gentlemen, if it has been happening and we have noticed gaps in the law, who else is going to fix the gaps? That's what we have done.
I've been reading so many, crime reports, annual crime reports, and I'm yet to find a crime of homosexuality, but I've seen so many on defilement, on rape, and domestic violence, and that is the problem.
Are they allowed? If the police has not been doing the work, would that stop Parliament from doing its work? Our work is to make the law. Our work is not to arrest Kamara and Mwenda when they are committing that crime. We have made the law and sent it to the police after the presidential assent to enforce. I have told you that there has been a legal regime in place abolishing the same in the penal code, but we identified gaps. I have told you that we've been lacking a law that bars and banishes advertisement, promotion, recruitment. That's what we are doing to fill the gaps. This law has been there. If they have not been enforcing it, perhaps people have been doing it, like you're saying, in the privacy of their rooms. Now there are those things that are not done in the privacy of their rooms. The promotion in textbooks we find in some schools, in magazines, what we see in social media, that's what we have come up to plug the gaps. And we are not apologetic about that.
Andrew, considering the numbers of members of Parliament who came out, if they are speaking for the rest of Uganda because they have the mandate of the people, it appears there's such an overwhelming, anti-homosexuality kind of sentiment in this country. Do you appreciate that?
Well, I could say there is, I think, Time magazine. They did an opinion poll in Uganda, I think in 2013, 2014. And I don't know about the veracity of their research and the accuracy of their results, but they said 95 or 94% of Ugandans are homophobic. And I understand even from so many other Ugandans I relate to, that this country, what we consider to be our traditional beliefs, what we consider to be our religious values, whether Muslim or Christian or whatever it is, what we consider to be our ethical convictions, is the country is very homophobic. For me, so that is beyond dispute. You can see, I think 400 MPs or 399 MPs showed up, which was 73% of Parliament, to vote for this bill. But of course, this bill, I should tell you, is both a result of I don't want to use bad words, my grandson maybe get angry, but I think it's not just redundant, but it's also in many ways stupid. First, it is a bill that seeks to legislate morality. I wonder whether it is possible for the state to legislate morality, because there are so many other husbands cheat on their wives, or wives cheat on their husbands. Children in schools, let me say, fornicate. We have prostitution around this country. There is promiscuity of so many. There are so many moral issues. I think these are issues that are best left to the family and the church and the mosque, rather than be a preserve of the state. In fact, I'm shocked and always get overwhelmed by religious leaders appealing to the state to legislate the will of God, that the state should be punishing sin. I find it absurd. For me, perhaps what I would have wanted to hear from my grandson, my dad is going to hear is, what is the injury they are trying to cure, and what is the cost of the medicine? Is it commensurate to the problem? Because let me tell you, Uganda is not an island living alone in the world. Uganda lives in a world with other players. Right now, you pass this kind of law, many of the countries with whom we trade, from whom we get investments, from whom we get tourists, find this law draconian and dangerous. In fact, let me tell you some of the provisions of the law that was passed. They created a law called aggravated homosexuality, which faces a sentence of death. It attracts a sentence of death. Then they said, for purposes of promotion, if you wear anything or advertise anything that promotes homosexuality, you would go to jail for 10 years. You know, in the English Premier League, I don't know whether you see sometimes the players wearing that orange band. That orange band is a defense of homosexual rights. Essentially, we have banned the English Premier League from Uganda, unless the law is not enforced. DSTV has to be shut down or stopped from airing the Premier League because it does advertise homosexual rights. If you went to the church to give a confession, you know, these born-again Christians who stand in church and confess their sins, and you say the devil has infected your mind and you are attracted to fellow women or fellow men, actually you have admitted to a crime, because they have legislated now, they have made not practicing homosexuality but being a homosexual a crime. Now, remember that there are many people who are homosexuals. In other words, they are attracted to same gender, sexually attracted people of the same gender, and they don't practice their sexual orientation because of their religious or traditional values and convictions. They do not, but they now immediately become criminals. So the law is then. I think that when your mind is filled with prejudice, you are likely to see so many things. For example, if you talk to the homophobes of Uganda, they fuse or they mix pedophilia with homosexuality. They say our children in schools. They don't deal with consenting adults. I saw the Speaker of Parliament speaking. Why don't we pass a law on defilement? The current law, I'm told, only deals with the defilement of underage girls. Why don't we pass or amend that law to make defilement gender neutral, in which case anyone who sleeps with a minor will face a sentence. If the matter is non-consenting sex, you can amend the law on rape to include rape of men. What I don't understand is, even if our moral and religious beliefs are offended by the practice of homosexuality, are you going to begin hiring a religious police to visit everybody's bedroom to establish who is homosexual? By the way, I should also add another provision of this law. It says that if you are a landlord and you rent your house willfully, whatever that means, to people who are gay or who practice homosexuality, whether you own a hotel or a house, you will have committed a crime yourself. So I'm sure, but it is strange, because when I'm going to rent my house, I don't ask my tenants whether they are thieves, whether they are corrupt, whether they are
their sexual orientation.
But no, this time you have to ask them, you have to know. So the law is so draconian, as even so. What the law does actually is alienate Uganda from other parts of the world. If I am an investor from the Western world, I will not come to Uganda. If I'm a tourist, this country becomes a threatening place to be. If I am a person interested in visiting Uganda for an international conference, I cannot come. In fact, I should tell you, you should talk to hotel owners. All conferences that are going to take place in Uganda, I think 90% are going to be cancelled. So one, you are harming the economy over a law whose enforcement will bring almost very little benefit. You see, I understand Medad Sogona when he says people are recruiting. Is homosexuality an army where people have to be recruited? Really? What do they mean by recruitment? Assuming... Anyway, let me ask you, what do you mean by recruitment? That it is happening in schools. There is an organization with an agenda. They go and find kids, I don't know of which year, and tell them, no, the only way you can live a better life is by you becoming homosexual. Why does Uganda get so scared of such a campaign? We have churches on every arm and leg of our existence. We have mosques on every street, on every village, in every trading center in Uganda. They have been preaching these values. Why is it that these preachings by the churches, by the mosques, and all the money that is in these churches is not effective, and somehow some secret association comes and says, oh, kids, please you join this new religion called homosexuality? Let me tell you, Sagona, you may think, you please bring me one person, not 5, not 3, 1. Who says they were recruited and we have an interview with them here. It just doesn't exist. But you know, when people are prejudiced, this man, I'm happy he belongs to the opposition. If you go to Ugandan intelligence who are prejudiced against them, they may get intelligence that somehow Medad Segona is planning to overthrow the government. He has stored guns in his house. Here people will believe it easily because he is in the opposition and they are biased about his intentions. Now, if you go, of course, to the opposition and tell them, look, Museveni has a snake inside his house, he's trying to bewitch everybody, they also believe it. Equally, these stories of homosexuals recruiting in schools, they're easy to believe because you are dealing with people who are heavily biased or prejudiced against homosexuals, and therefore they are willing to believe any make-believe story that is out there.
Okay. Honorable Medad Segona, how do you respond to that? And later I'm going to be inviting the Honorable Robina Rakojo, I suppose, who is joining us on phone. But
well, of course, prejudice, I agree with him that if you are prejudiced, it will close your eyes, and we try as much as possible to avoid being prejudiced. And injury versus medicine that we are trying to, with which we are trying to cure the problem. I think Andrew is looking at it from the economic perspective and thinks that there is a monetary value that can be attached to the troubles that we're trying to deal with, and I disagree. We are not looking at how much money that we're likely to suffer or to lose vis-a-vis what we are trying to save. First, I'm surprised that Andrew does not live in this country to have followed the debate, especially as a senior journalist. You know, when I was starting my career as a lawyer some 20 years ago, I would run up and down for any simple case that came my way. Time came when I felt like, oh my God, driving to Rukunjiri, no, maybe let me get a young camera to go to that court, because the energy has come down. So I think it has affected the young Andrew Mwenda, that these days he does not invest much time in finding out what goes around. There are a significant number of schools where these cases have been reported, who have been molested by teachers, others by fellow students or pupils. There have been cases of books from different school libraries where these materials have been picked. So that one is cause for alarm. Aggravated homosexuality attracting a death penalty. But look, Kamara, have you addressed your mind to what we meant by aggravated homosexuality? Already we have a law on aggravated defilement. Now, aggravated homosexuality, we are referring to a person who is charged with care, custody, and responsibility of a minor, and is found sodomizing a child under their care. That is aggravated. The same way, we look at aggravated defilement where you're a teacher, you're a father, you're a guardian, you're an uncle, and somebody's daughter or your daughter is under your custody, and you defile that daughter. We call that aggravated. The other element of aggravated is, for example, you knowingly infect a minor with HIV. That's the mischief we are dealing with in those cases that people consider extreme.
Can I ask you a question?
Please do.
So, this is what I'm saying. Why do you make it a homosexual issue? Why don't you say there will be aggravated defilement? Whether it's of a boy or a girl, by a man or a woman, it really shouldn't be the issue. Because, just one second, okay. My question. If it's rape or defilement, why don't you make it sexual orientation neutral? Why do you have to target it to homosexuals? Because whether it's a man defiling a girl of 3 months or 3 years, or a boy of the same age, why don't you make it the same? Without having to specifically classify that under circumstances of homosexuality.
Would it still achieve the same result?
Because the problem now you have with your law is that you are trying to identify a particular group and target. It is like us having a law on murder, but you say, if you are a Muganda and you murder, why do you want to attach identity to a crime? Why don't you keep it neutral?
Is it illegal to be a Muganda in Uganda?
No.
It is illegal to be a homosexual in Uganda. So we are not reinventing the wheel. No, we didn't do it yesterday.
No.
That one was done in your constitution. Wearing or promoting.
Let me correct you. Previously, the law punished a homosexual act. It never criminalized being homosexual, as you have done. Today, if you stood and say, I am a homosexual, you have committed a crime and actually you go to jail. Previously, it was, if you slept with a person of the same gender,
you have committed a crime.
The moment you say you are homosexual, okay, it is an act.
No.
You see, Article 28 of the Constitution is that everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty or until he pleads guilty. Now, the moment you come to us and you tell us, for you, you are homosexual, it implies to us that you are engaged in acts of homosexuality.
So now,
and what makes it illegal?
Gentlemen, let me put in this, because the last time the president went to Parliament was, I think, in Kololo, and he said even himself, we are still battling with the idea whether this is by nature or nurture. So if he finds out really that people are born like this by nature, and they say this is who I am, you criminalize them? They have committed a crime because they are born like that?
There is no nature.
How is the president supposed to find out that?
No, because that's what he said.
No, you see,
that is going to be...
Well, if he is trying to find out, we have already found out for him that it is not by nature, but nurture. We were actually corrected.
How did you
remember, we had put a defense. We had crafted a defense of, for me, I am suffering ABCD. Dr. Barrio must put it better. And we realized that it is actually not by nature, but
did you realize that?
Nurturing. So we decided to even remove that defense. Now, wearing that band.
I mean, the question is, how did you find out it is by nature and not by nature?
Because there is not a child has no sexual orientation at childhood. They grow up and instinctively adopt or are trained the way the homosexual adopt instinctively. And mark my word, they're very conscious and cautious. Going to your wearing of the bands and the Premier League, etc., I'm sure if you are following the debate, that one also came out. And we were very careful. I remember I rose up and said, no, in criminal law, we are looking at ingredients. Ingredient number one is the mens rea, the mind, the intention. So when it came to promoting, if you're doing something that is intended at promoting, then we have satisfied the mens rea as the first ingredient. Then the next is the actus reus, which is the real act. Now for the landlord that he's talking about, no. It is not an offense of what we call strict liability. Strict liability offenses include, say, some of the traffic offenses. You're driving without a valid driving license, whether you have a justification or not, it is a strict liability offense. For this particular one, talking about your landlord. Tell your landlord, Andrew Mwenda's landlord, not to worry about you. As long as he is not aware. That's why we put the words
willful,
knowingly. Okay? So the landlord must be in the know. Similar laws have been there. For example, if you are operating a brothel,
he didn't know. How do you prove it?
No, he doesn't have to prove he didn't know. It is us. It is the prosecution to prove that you knew.
Just hold your point there, Honorable Medad Sagona, because I have another participant joining us online, Honorable Robina, I think Rakojo. Honorable Robina, can you hear me? Honorable Robina, can you hear me? It looks like I'm having comms challenges to reach Robina tonight. Can you hear me, Honorable Robina? Okay. So
maybe she's in Gomba.
So the issue...
Perhaps I should come in here.
Okay.
You see...
I had just 2 points left to respond to you. This thing of alienating Uganda from the rest of the world, I hear them.
Not the rest of the world, some important part of the world.
The important part of the world, etc. Yes, but I think we are being blackmailed. We should meet, we should collaborate, partner with people on equal footing. We should be partners. You should respect our values the same way we respect your values. Okay? That way we can work together with respect to each other. But when you tell us, oh, the conferences are going to be cancelled, it's as if we are useless lot on earth, that people who come here come for nothing, but purely to come and help us by visiting us. No. Those people that come to visit us here, to hold conferences here, to trade with us, are people who come here with respect to the sovereignty of the country they are visiting, the same way we respect them when we visit them or when we are dealing with them. So I would encourage our partners, one, to continue coming here. We are not dangerous. When I visit a country, for example, and I do not go with my wife, I do not go running around with their daughters or with their sons, since for them it is okay. So when you come here, you come with respect to us. We have values, and our constitution is clear.
But they also have values, my dad.
Now they have values.
So assuming you do something that violates their values, are they also entitled to take some action?
Yes, in their countries,
for us to come and visit you, no, we don't want to visit a country because some of our citizens are gay. We don't want to come to visit your country or hold conferences there when you are likely to kill us.
Yes, you're not going to come here.
We are not likely to invest in a country that offends our values.
What we have abolished.
What I'm saying, is it wrong for them also to say we are not going to invest or visit a country or support a country that offends our values?
Absolutely not. It is not wrong to say we will not go there because we want to practice our way, to do things our way.
No, maybe they can simply say your laws offend our deeply held values, so we cannot continue to deal with you.
True.
Don't they have that right?
They do. And I'm not forcing them to come here and subject themselves to our laws.
So you want them to respect your values, you don't want to respect theirs?
I'm only saying the person who crosses the border into Uganda must respect our laws and values. The same way I respect values and laws when I cross into another country. For example, one day we had the East African Law Conference in Kigali. We were briefed before we went there that, you know, when you go to Rwanda, there are certain things you will not say. There are certain things you will not do. And when we went there, we were conscious and cautious of their laws and values. So I agree that our partners have all rights, and I shall defend to death their right to say what they feel.
Okay. If you can respond, Andrew. If you can respond to him, Andrew. We take a quick break, and after I'll come back with the Honourable Robina after the break. Andrew.
You see, I think that the point I was making is that Uganda is not an island. It is it's part of a particular world, and the views, feelings, attitudes of others matter to us. They matter to us because in the process of investment, trade and tourism intercourse, we deal with people whose values are different, and we are passing. This is why I was saying, what is the injury you're trying to cure and what is the cause of that injury? One, there is no law against homosexuality that is going to stop homosexuality in Uganda. I can promise you it will not. In fact, from my own reading of history, from ancient Greece to ancient Babylon to ancient Rome, I get the sense that the more urbanized and richer a society gets, the more it tends to have a high preponderance of homosexuality. Why? My suspicion is that the poor agrarian societies face the specter of starvation in the eye every single day. So the purpose of sex becomes so preoccupied with procreation. But as societies get richer, parents choose to have fewer children. Many people in Uganda have 1 or 2 kids or 3. They have fewer children compared to poor agrarian societies. And therefore, sex ceases to be primarily driven by procreation. It gets primarily driven by recreation. People are just having it for fun. And because of when sex ceases to be for fun, it is separated from its function of procreation. And that is how homosexuality becomes a much more widespread practice. So Uganda can pass any laws it wants, but as long as Uganda keeps urbanizing, developing and becoming richer, developing a middle class, I can promise you homosexuality will spread. The laws they are passing themselves are very good for homosexuals, I can tell you.
In what sense?
You see, now they have passed this law, and we're here discussing homosexuality. Kids at home and in school are watching this television. They're becoming curious. They're asking questions. Doubt is beginning to develop. Ideas are developing in their heads. The greater the debate, the worse, the more draconian the laws they pass are, the more intense and widespread the debate will be. The greater the debate, the intensity of the debate, the more curiosity, the more knowledge, and therefore the growth of more tolerance. In ancient Athens, 2,500 years ago, Athenian law actually forbade same-sex relationships, but public opinion tolerated it. And in the Western world, long before laws to decriminalize homosexuality happened in the 80s and 70s, the West was very homophobic 100 years ago, 70 years ago. They have changed because of the process of urbanization and modernization that has and wealth that has taken place in their societies. In fact, I've been telling Western ambassadors here, don't worry about Uganda. Uganda's present, just look in the mirror. It's just your past of 50 years ago. So Uganda is in the same process. This Medadi Segona you see here and his fellow MPs, they may be subjectively hostile to homosexuality, but they are subjectively allies of homosexuals, because the more draconian laws they pass, the more intense the debate they create, and the greater the debate, the greater the knowledge, the greater the curiosity, even the greater the growth of tolerance, because now it is an important issue to discuss. Me and him when we were at university, there was no debate in Uganda about homosexuality. Why? We were still a poor, largely agrarian society. Now, look, Kampala has grown from 7 hills. It goes all the way to Namugongo. It goes all the way to Entebbe, all the way to Mukono. Is a city, and homosexuality is becoming ubiquitous. As it's becoming ubiquitous among young people, the elderly people get shocked, and the law is a reflection of that shock of the new. This is not something against our culture; it's something against our religious beliefs. But the young people see things differently. Young people you meet in their 20s are much more tolerant. So I personally, I think objectively, rather subjectively, I think the law is a bad thing, but I think its objective outcome, regardless of their subjective motivations, the objective outcome of this law is really good for the homosexuals to exercise their rights and to live their lifestyles as they see them fit.
You have played in their hands. This is good for them. What you have done, thinking you're stopping, you have done the reverse.
If he thinks that by doing this we are unconsciously or subconsciously providing a fertile ground,
you are promoting actually the very thing you want to fight.
Let them come, and because he says they will enjoy it, it's okay. Then let them come. Why would they be scared? The point is this:
Muzungu. I mean the local Ugandans.
Whoever wants to try it. For us, we have made the law. We have discharged our obligation, because our obligation is to protect the values and aspirations of this society. That's a constitutional requirement. So we have done it. If you come and do any of those that we have forbidden, then the consequences of the law will catch up with you. This thing called the economy.
But I just wanted to ask you, my dad, you didn't answer me. Why don't you pass a law of defilement and rape, aggravated defilement, aggravated rape, whatever it is, that is sexual orientation neutral? Would it hurt if you said any person who sleeps, any adult person who sleeps with a minor has committed this crime under their care. Anyone who forcefully has sex with another person without their consent has committed a crime. Would it undermine the punishment you want to mete out on men who rape men and women who rape women? What is this thing
called neutral or neutrality? You see, we are confronting the bull by the horn. And don't tell me that we should feel shy about attacking the vice of homosexuality, which we have come out to attack. Now you want us to start feeling shy, change language for purposes of being or appearing ashamed of doing what we are doing. No, what we are doing is deliberate. It is conscious that what we are forbidding is called homosexuality. There are other laws that regulate what you're talking about, defilement, aggravated defilement in relation to the girl child, etc. But we are specifically saying, if you are same-sex, please do not do it. It is against our values. We do not want it, and we proceed to abolish it. We have abolished.
Okay,
so,
gentlemen.
So let me ask, assume before you pass this law, if a man raped a little kid, a boy, he wouldn't have committed a crime under existing...
He would have committed the offense of, we call it indecent assault. And it's
so why didn't you make
it
aggravated indecent assault? Why didn't you pass a law of that?
We opted for this because we are abolishing homosexuality.
Okay, gentlemen, hold on to your points because we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we shall be joined by Honorable Robina Rakoja. We'll be right back.
You're going to take your oxtail and then you're going to ground it.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store, and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibility seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda, not for sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health standard operating procedures, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. NMS, passionate about your life.
Your Friday Monitor has all the entertainment and career-changing content just for you. Enjoy entertainment news, celebrity gossip, life of Uganda's celebrities, music and humor with your favorite lifestyle magazine, Scoop Magazine. You can also look out for new job opportunities and enhance your career with our jobs and career pullout. Grab your copy every Friday or visit epaper.nation.africa/UG to subscribe. For more information, email us at customercareug@ug.nationmedia.com or call us on 0312 302 230. Daily Monitor. Truth every day.
Tomorrow Night is brought to you by Tusker Premium Cider. Exploding with taste. Tomorrow night.
So tell us what happened with Financier's niece.
Apparently, she stopped breathing in the middle of the surgery. Turns out the doctor ended up using some dangerous materials for the surgery.
See?
And apart from that, we have the exclusive photos. All of them.
You got an exclusive store?
One question. What do you do for a living? She tell me.
Tomorrow night. Tusker Premium Cider has a rich apple flavor and a smooth, crisp finish for a refreshing taste.
And gentlemen, we are back on air. Welcome back on the spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guests tonight are Andrew Mwenda and Honorable Medad Segona. We are now joined online by the Honorable Robina Rakojo. Honorable Robina, can you hear us? Honorable Robina, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, can you hear us, Honorable Robina?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure you've been following the discussion, but I just want to know what I've seen that if, for example, you know people who are engaging in homosexuality and they don't report, you also have committed a crime. What happens, for example, if I'm a pastor and somebody is trying to maybe come out and explain their problem to me, and maybe I'm trying to counsel them and guide them? Me as a pastor who understands my flock, and one of them is a homosexual but maybe wants to repent, will I also have committed a crime? Will I also be prosecuted in court?
Well, the sort of answer to your question, I must say that your question is unique in terms of the person, that you're talking about. Because we are thinking about anyone who knows about it and who deals with it. That this is in a unique position, but he still shouldn't encourage that to continue. He has a duty upon him by virtue of his look to reveal what he knows about homosexuality that is being confessed by whoever it is. It's just a unique example, but once it falls within the law, he has no question.
So is homosexuality such a big issue in Uganda today? When you talk about recruitment and advertising, where are homosexuals recruiting people, and where are they advertising? Is it somewhere in Wemiaga?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, looks like I have a problem with that phone.
I don't know whether you live in the country, because you're asking
yes
a question that actually surprises me. This is something that's actually happening. On social media, we have seen it. Schools have come up to approach us in our constituencies. Day in and day out, we get complaints. We get people telling us about happening. People come crying with their children who have been injured. And I could show you pictorial evidence, terrible. So it isn't like anyone is coming up to form stories. We have seen this happen in.
Can I ask a question?
In the testimonies of people that come crying to us. Even before our committee, we had 3 victims that came to us. So it is for real.
Robina, I just need you to make for me a clear distinction. I would understand that in many schools in Uganda, there may be men who may go and rape younger boys. There are old women who may rape younger girls. The question I want to know is how unique is that? I would imagine that 95 to 96% of all the abuse of minors in Uganda is by men abusing little girls. And the case of men abusing little boys must constitute of the total, and I have seen a lot of research on this subject, constitutes anything between 2 to 3%. So how does that become recruitment? If there is a perverted man who goes and sleeps with a little boy of 15 years or 12 years or whatever it is, how does that become recruitment? How different is that from a man of 40 who goes and sleeps with a girl in school of 12 years?
Well, there are 2 offenses, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's the offense of defilement that deals with a young girl or a young boy
Go on.
Yeah, so
I can read
a young girl, a young boy.
Actually,
those that are below 18. And there is then the offense of homosexuality. Defilement is one where you're looking at a heterosexual relationship, should I say. It may be a man or a boy trying or actually having sex with a girl below 18 years, or maybe in the case of teachers or house girls, for example, having sex with a boy of below 18 years. So that comes out to be defilement. But what we are looking at now is a sexual relationship between somebody who biologically was created a male and is having sex with a male too, or someone who was created a female, born a female, and is having sex with a female. And that's what we are looking at in terms of homosexuality. In the school environment, we have had teachers of late coming up, I think because of finances, easy finances that come to them, supervising acts of homosexuality. Watching children perform acts of homosexuality on fellow students. And the teachers are there, almost conducting it, should I say. A teacher is supervising, watching over. Children are crying. They don't want to participate, but this teacher is doing it. Teachers have books that they are using as instruction materials, and children are being taught and told that it is normal. A boy can sleep with a boy. A girl can sleep with a girl. Or a man can sleep with a boy. A woman can sleep with a girl. And that is not natural. Even in, I am a Christian, and in Ephesians 5:22, we are told that, actually Ephesians 5:31, a man will leave his father and mother and unite with his wife, and the two will become one. We have also watched animals. I haven't seen male animals mount other male animals. I'm yet to discover any. So we're talking about something that was created by God. Cultures that we have here in Africa, and in this case in Uganda, and what we are legislating against that actually was already condemned by the Constitution. We know the forms of marriage that we can have in this country, and same-sex marriages are not part of those. They are prohibited by the Constitution. But one will ask, why? Why have this? We are protecting our generation of children. We are protecting adults. We don't want them to be forced into this thing. And this is why you see that consent doesn't matter. I mean, as a defense, you can't plead consent. We have come up to say no one can consent to this act. It is not natural. So I think our space should be respected. We have respected the space of others, and there are things that we don't do, and we should have respect given to them, like we do when we get to other countries. There are areas that, there are things that you have to observe when you get to other countries. We can't force anything upon them. So we'll just request that whoever comes here takes into consideration our laws, our cultures, the aspirations, and abides by them.
Yeah, I think you've made your point, and your point is taken. Yes, how do you respond, Andrew? Okay, Robin, if you can hold it there, and maybe Andrew gives you a response.
A lawyer friend has sent me this. Defilement of persons under 18 years. It says, Any person who performs a sexual act, this is I think 129, section 129 of the Penal Code Act. Any person who performs a sexual act with another person who is below the age of 18 years commits a felony known as defilement and is on conviction liable to life imprisonment. So it's gender neutral actually, the law on defilement. Anyone who sleeps with a person below the age of 18, any person. But I wonder, assuming a person of 15 slept with a person of 15, would that be defilement? I don't know.
Is that one a person?
A person of 15 is a person, yes.
Yeah, actually.
So in other words,
yes, currently, even under the law of defilement, a minor can defile, and depending on the degrees of...
so who would have defiled? Because it is neutral, it says any person who performs a sex act with another person below the age of 18 years. So if a 15-year-old boy slept with a 15-year-old girl...
if I remember, that came by way of an amendment. But I was telling you that depending on the degree of criminal responsibility, even minors commit crimes, and that's why you see minors.
But in this case, who would have committed a crime, the boy or the girl?
Actually, both would have committed, because if it is performing a sexual act.
It also says any person who attempts to perform a sexual act with another person who is below 18 years commits the offense, and on conviction liable to imprisonment not exceeding 8 years. If you attempt, an attempt is 8 years. Then any person who performs a sexual act with another person who is below the age of 18 years in any of the circumstances specified in subsection 4 commits a felony called aggravated defilement and is on conviction by the High Court liable to suffer. Okay, it goes on. It doesn't show. But then it also comes to section 145, unnatural offences. Any person who has carnal knowledge of any person against the order of nature, whatever that means, I don't know what the order of nature is, has carnal knowledge of an animal or permits a male person to have carnal knowledge of him or her against the order of nature, commits an offense and is liable to imprisonment for life. So actually these laws already exist.
Then why you cry?
So I'm wondering, why were you adding insult to injury?
Why are you crying? No, they have not been enforced that way because of those gaps. For example, when you talk about the order of nature, that one has been ambiguous, because some people would argue, or were arguing, that the order of nature permits even what we are calling homosexuality, intrusion from the rear. So we had to be clear, because the criminal law is very strict, by the way. So if you are not clear enough, ambiguity is resolved in favor of the accused person. Yes. Now your concern, which is noted on Andrew, is that why are we not using a language that is, we call it gender neutral?
I think in your specific law, yes.
The neutrality you're talking about. Here is a vice that we are dealing with, and we ought to be clear. So we have to be very clear that the vice we are confronting is this thing called homosexuality.
Why do you call it a vice?
Because it is vicious. It is not allowed by our values. To the Constitution. You see, sometimes you've been talking about rights. I agree, because I'm a student of human rights. I'm an activist. I'm a defender of human rights. But which rights are we talking about?
What is the origin of these values?
We are talking about...
When you say these values...
I even want to care about the origins. These are values that have been there over time and accepted. If you go to the definition of culture and custom, these are values that have bound a particular community or society over the years and found acceptance. Now, amongst our values that have found acceptance, is that it is only man and woman. And that's what we live for, and that's what we aspire to be.
So I want to ask you this question, Daddy.
Yes.
In our values, a man can have as many wives as he wants.
That's correct.
In the values of Christianity,
yes,
it's only one woman.
That's why.
So why don't you defend the right of every Ugandan man to be polygamous?
But who has confronted it? Just recently, adultery was nullified as an offense. It was pursuant to those values.
Exactly, because
now,
values
and
traditions
can
change.
When you go to the US today, no, actually values can change, but this value for the African,
I don't know whether it was our value to wear the clothes we are wearing or to speak English.
No, but if we have adopted,
we are speaking English.
If we have adopted and there is no quarrel over them, that's okay. But I've told you there is a quarrel over homosexuality. We do not accept it. That's why the framers of our constitution outlawed it. Now, because the constitution does not create offenses, we have created offenses. Because you will not
there is
make
a section
law.
of the constitution that
So may it need the police of value
makes
of virtue
homosexuality
and vice.
unconstitutional.
Go and read the constitution and what it tells you. A man and woman of consenting age are free to found marriage. 32 goes ahead to say marriage between the people of the same sex is prohibited.
That's marriage. It prohibits marriage, not sex.
Now,
no, your law is
you
not
want to say
prohibiting
that?
marriage. Hold on a second, Medan.
Yes,
Please,
yes.
you have
Yes,
said something.
I understand.
Your law is not prohibiting marriage. It is actually prohibiting the following things. One, it prohibits a person from being homosexual, saying they are, whether they have practiced or not is not the issue. Two, your law prohibits sex acts of consenting adults of same gender. I may want to have sex with a fellow man but not marry them. Your law is stopping, is stopping me from doing exactly that.
Now,
so the bottom line is this, that your law intrudes into people's privacy.
Now, for purposes of educating you for free, I will tell you that
I'm very eager to learn.
Unlike statutes, the Constitution is not interpreted and read mechanically. The Constitution is read constructively and purposively. We give it a generous and purposive construction. We go to investigate what is the purpose of the Constitution. The purpose of the Constitution is to prohibit. If we can prohibit a marriage, then how about a sexual act between people who are not married?
Good point. A second question. Because the Constitution says something does not necessarily mean that thing should be accepted. The Constitution of 1996 prohibited activities of political parties. You and me opposed it. Why don't you think other Ugandans who believe in same-sex liaisons should oppose you?
Do you remember how we opposed it? We went to the Constitutional Court.
I am going to go to the Constitution. If Museveni signs this law, I promise you, I'll go to the Constitutional Court.
Even last time he sponsored you to go to the Constitutional Court. So that is
you
right.
Sponsored me?
Yes.
Oh,
but let me say this. Let me say this.
Gentlemen, we're going to take a break.
I agree. You know, Voltaire said, "I disapprove of what you say, but I shall defend to death your right to say what you're saying." So I shall defend to death your right to go to court and defend your mischief.
Okay, let me ask you another question related to that. Why don't you go to Voltaire and say, I disagree with your sexual orientation, Mr. John Mwesije, but I will defend your right to live your life as you see.
Because the rights are within our constitutional framework. Now, this is not one of those. It is actually expressly prohibited by the Constitution.
Yes, but the Constitution prohibited activities of political parties. Me and you oppose the Constitution.
We went to court.
Okay, gentlemen.
I said I don't have a problem with
gentlemen, we're going to bring in other Ugandans, want to hear their views.
Because even last time
I think where we're headed,
you went there.
we may need a police for the propagation of virtue and prevention of vice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Looking for the quality paint for your dream home? Be part of the new revolution with our Global Paint Silk Vinyls, as weather coat gives you never fading and strongly guarded walls against bad weather conditions. Global Paints, a reliable product.
Your Friday Monitor has all the entertainment and career-changing content just for you. Enjoy entertainment news, celebrity gossip, life of Uganda's celebrities, music and humor with your favorite lifestyle magazine, Scoop Magazine. You can also look out for new job opportunities and enhance your career with our jobs and career pullout. Grab your copy every Friday or visit epaper.nation.africa/UG to subscribe. For more information, email us at customercareug ug@ug.nationmedia.com or call us on 0312 302 230. Daily Monitor. Truth every day.
Tomorrow Night is brought to you by Tusker Premium Cider, exploding with taste. Tomorrow night.
So tell us what happened with Financier's niece.
Apparently, she stopped breathing in the middle of the surgery. Turns out the doctor ended up using some dangerous materials for the surgery.
See? And apart from that, we have the exclusive photos, all of them.
You got an exclusive store.
Kalimodo she kagonda Kawado we sente kemola. One question, what do you do for a living? She tell me Tita Mumazina malarontisa.
Tomorrow night. Tusker Premium Cider has a rich apple flavor and a smooth, crisp finish for a refreshing taste.
Every day, farmers are hard at work in the lush fields of Ugandan landscapes, making sure that there's enough to feed the ever-burgeoning population of Uganda. No matter what is being cultivated, harvested or reared, and no matter where, we are on a mission to find the farmers. Uganda is known for producing a wide range of agricultural products.
Peking ducks are quite very easy to rear because they eat maize bran.
Goat farming used to be something small way back in time, but nowadays it can be a bigger business. And the good thing with it, you start with what you have.
We need to look at projects that can give a farmer money but with low input.
So that is why we brand it as smart agriculture.
From the sweet, juicy Luwero pineapple to the sweet potatoes of the east.
Very sweet, orange in color.
The pearl millet and sorghum of northern Uganda. The creamy dairy products of the west.
For you to learn and be able to identify a good dairy cow, you look at the rumps, you look at the hock. You don't just go in and buy a cow because it's black and white.
The coffee, full of aroma from the eastern gentle giant.
I came to understand that it is a God-given source of income to Bagiso.
Vanilla, tobacco, cocoa, sugar, edible oils.
Sunflower is the best product you use. Everything is used and is hot cake. I don't need market. Market is there.
Market pays value. Are you bringing a valuable product on the market? Is it of the required quality by the market? Do you have the required volumes by the market?
Tea, cotton, fish.
This fish which you're seeing right now is, they are 2 months old.
Anything can grow here.
There are 3 types of dragon fruit that I've seen so far. We have to harvest it so that you don't damage it.
What makes us poor, we farmers outside there, is to fail planning.
The gold is in the seed.
You just need to get a seed, get where to put it in the soil, feed the soil.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guests tonight are Mr. Andrew Mwenda and Honorable Medad Segona, and we're discussing the Anti-Homosexuality Bill that was passed about 2 days ago by the Ugandan Parliament. And this is the moment when you have to have your say. Our number is on the screen. You pick your phone and call us. And should you be having any disagreement with the guests here, that's okay. But remember to disagree with civility. So it appears whatever happens, if the president sends this or signs this into law, then you're going to court, and I've had many other people who would want to go to court.
Challenge it.
What are the chances that the court will listen?
100%. Of course, I am very confident because the judges of Uganda are very enlightened and progressive, and I don't think they can find a law of this type, a draconian law of this type, consistent with our constitution. So Medadi will lose in court and the matter will be settled. And it will not be the first time him and his likes have lost in this case in court.
Whether somebody said that you should stop touching him.
He's my grandson. How can I not touch my grandson?
That I could be endangered. No, first of all, over the last 20 years, I have been going to court. Good. I've been winning and sometimes losing. We lost the last battle where Andrew Mwenda and his sponsors challenged us in court because Parliament was overambitious and overzealous in passing that law without quorum. We knew that there would be a problem with that. That's why we were very conscious
this time around
with the issue of quorum. Two, also trying to be one, reasonable, and to be guided and guarded in terms of sticking within the four corners of legality and proportionality, as well as legitimacy. The judges that he's talking about who are enlightened, first on that I concede that the judges are enlightened. That's why we have them as judges, and that's why we have them as arbiters. We are equally enlightened. That's why we are making a law which the less enlightened do not find palatable. Why? Because Andrew thinks there is no problem. Of late, one, he has been missing and hiding, and at some point he was sick. My granddaughter, Margaret, was saying that my grandson was going to die. I kept praying for him. So maybe during that time, he missed out on some of the things that were going on in his country. We will give him ample time to catch up with what we have been able to know over the...
But you haven't told us what you have been able to know. Because each time they tell us, like Robin, they really make a mistake. They say, some teacher videoed two boys having sex. Okay, what if there is another teacher who videos a boy and a girl having sex? You see,
again, we have prohibited that.
But yes, that's the point I'm saying. That you conflate homosexuality with pedophilia, you conflate it with voyeurism. You know, voyeurism is the act of enjoying sex by watching it rather than by personally participating in it. You participate by viewing rather than... So all of these things, the issue is assuming John wanted to have sex with Derek and both of them are consenting adults. Why should that be a subject of interest by the state of Uganda? I can understand if the mosque or the church or cultural institutions like Mengo said, in protection of our traditions, in protection of our religious doctrines, we will preach in the church, in the mosque, and at Mengo, in the palaces, against this.
Okay, hold on.
But just 1 second. But to get the state of Uganda and its police forces to come and seek to enforce morality, I find it strange. Because then we should...
Is theft immoral?
Well, let me put it this way. Theft is I get his jacket and take it out from him. I'm depriving him of something. We call it other...
it is his.
John Locke. Yes, other regarding acts. But they are what we call self-regarding acts. If I sit in the privacy of my... I sleep in the privacy of my bedroom with a fellow man, who is also consenting, what have I taken from Medadi, from anybody? The two of us will be consenting. Why do you want to criminalize that? Most criminals, I have killed you, I have beaten you, I have robbed you, I have denied you something.
Andrew, even
attempting
to commit suicide, making an attempt to take away your own life.
You can't be charged for committing suicide. So no. But
for the attempt to commit suicide, we charge you and we prosecute you and we detain you.
I will tell you that that's a very bad law.
we will make those laws you call bad, we consider them
But you know,
good.
A parliament can sit and make laws, but they can be bad. There was apartheid, there was Nazism, there was fascism. There were laws, yes. But
and even being a majority, does not make the law good. Can I tell you, in 1994, if Habyarimana had conducted a referendum whether we should have a genocide against Tutsis, I can tell you maybe 80 or 75% of the population of Rwanda would have voted for genocide. So the fact that you have a majority that is on your side, whether in the country and in the parliament or both, doesn't necessarily make what you're doing legitimate. You can, even in Germany, by the way, you could have conducted a referendum and people would have voted 90% to exterminate the Jews. So this is under Nazi Germany. So the point I am making is that your law, really a crime should be an act that offends somebody and denies them something. But where I see where there are two consenting adults in the privacy of their bedroom have sex, and you say now they should be hanged for it, I find it strange.
Hello. Somebody has been waiting online. Hello. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead, sir, with your question or comment. You're on air.
Yeah, my name is Steven.
Yes, Steven.
From Mundila. I was inquiring if a married couple, a husband and wife, and a husband decides to sodomize his wife,
TV, so that doesn't bring an echo.
Mute.
Or mute it. Sometimes people won't listen themselves. Can you hear me, Stephen? Hello?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, man, for you.
Okay.
What's on the document? Hello?
Yes, go right ahead. Okay, I think maybe.
But what's up?
Yeah.
Those things don't work.
Hello? I have a problem with the lines, unfortunately, so. Okay, but I think.
Understood his question.
Yes.
Stephen was asking, supposing a gentleman decides to sodomize his wife, we have also outlawed that because it is one of those, and remember for the first time was right when he was reading sexual acts against nature. Yes, we have outlawed it. It has been I think.
Assuming the wife consented.
To do what?
To be sodomized.
But we have said we have prohibited it. It's against nature. If she has consented, how will we know?
So I'm saying your legislation
if we
is
do
not only
know,
stupid but redundant.
Let me tell you, all laws, including prohibitions and crimes, they will only be effective when you have been caught. Before we catch you, we will not bother about you. The moment we get you, we will deal with you.
So how would you get two consenting adults?
How do
you
we
install cameras in people's bedrooms?
No, we do not intend to do. If they consent and we do not see them, that's okay. But the moment we see them, we will deal with them in accordance with the law.
Okay, let me assume there is a man and his wife, they decide to have anal sex, and a video of their sex act leaks. So who has been harmed really? I want to know. The woman enjoyed the thing, the man also enjoyed it. How does it become a responsibility of the state of Uganda to punish anybody for doing that?
But do you know also that we have a law against indecent exposure? That even if it is not anal, and you did it with your wife and you decide to leak it, we can still charge you with indecent exposure.
Yes, but
so the point, who are you harming? The values, you are defiling the morality of society. We have told you, in our society, it is not acceptable. Let me tell you, for example.
So now you want to legislate when we go to our bedrooms, because tomorrow we may legislate how we should have sex, whether we should have oral sex. I saw the president giving a statement saying, I hear young people having oral sex. We know where the address of sex is. So this idea of oral sex is prohibited.
But you always with him, why did you ask him?
Let me tell you,
when you go to him,
I am convinced that you politicians of Uganda are so redundant and lacking what to do that you have started now trying to legislate what people do in the privacy of their bedrooms. Now, tomorrow you'll legislate against oral sex. What the Matoro said, can you put it in English? Before long, you'll be legislating how many times a man should have sex with his wife.
Well, you can trivialize it, you can vulgarize it, you can even address us in a condescending manner, but one thing is very clear.
Is you have the power to terrorize.
Not just, no, we are not terrorizing you. We have made this law, one, in accordance with the Constitution, two, in the best interests of those who care to know, we people who are not like you.
Okay.
But if you feel that we have overstepped our mandate like you are contemplating, and I'm not one of those who would encourage people to litigate, especially to litigate carelessly, like you. But I can't stop you. Okay. Even last time when you were going,
gentlemen,
I couldn't stop you.
Our time is out. Tonight I just decided to make sure the two of you do the thing, because
no worry, I think
so what's going to be your concluding remark on the show
to the people of Uganda, rest assured that Parliament has you at heart, and that we will make laws for your good governance and peace. We are amenable to advice and correction. If you think that we made a bad law, you can advise us, you can tell us. I listen to so many people, however mischievous and spiteful they may be, like Andrew Mwenda, because it is my duty as your leader to listen to you. We have listened to your views, including those that do not make much sense, because it is our duty to listen to them. You pay me to listen to you. And we will continue making other laws. We invited views from the public. Those that care came to the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, and they gave us their views. That's not to say that we are able to incorporate whatever views. No, our duty is to screen and discern, and eventually enact a law that reflects the will and aspirations of majority of the people of Uganda, at least as gathered from the views of those.
By the way, did you get any views of the homosexuals themselves?
Yes,
they came to the committee?
Yes, as Robin told you this, they came. They expressed themselves. There are those who have been there and who have been harmed and injured in the process. They also told us about their versions. I went through this, I'm suffering from this. Somebody almost pulled out all my intestines, etc. We listened to so many gruesome stories, and to me it was a very painful experience listening to those people that have been sodomized. You know, Mwenda is laughing because one, either he has not been sodomized, or he has been the sodomizer, or he has not had a son or daughter crying, you know, after being sodomized.
So somebody
what's going to be a party show then?
Okay, my party shot is this. Yes. There is a president of a country I will not name who was in the quarrel with another country, and the chief of intelligence was and told him that the other country had built a tunnel underground to move helicopters. This president believed it and paid a lot of money.
He must have been a very old president.
But listen, just, you know, when you're so prejudiced and biased about something, you can believe anything. Now this man says that somebody came and testified that they lost their intestines.
No. Did I say that?
Yes.
I thought you understand some bit of English.
Are pulled out.
Somebody. By the way.
Crazy. But let me tell you my last word on this matter. Can't you stop taking class?
He has a pool of prejudice. That's what
yes, he's so blended.
No, either he has been the sodomizer, or he has not been sodomized. He simply love it when other people are suffering with it.
Let me say, whatever it is, the number of homosexuals or people who practice or indulge in homosexuality in Uganda is going to grow and grow and grow. The only way you can stop it is to stop the process of urbanization, modernization, modern education and exposure. In which case, Medadi Sagona and Yoweri Museveni and other homophobes of Uganda need to take every Ugandan back to the village. We live in grass-thatched huts. We live in primordial circumstances where life, the specter of starvation faces us in the eye on a daily basis, and because of that we are all in a rat race to increase reproduction. For as long as this country becomes wealthier, as people grow, you know that most of these rich countries of the West, you notice like in Japan, they're having population decline. The average family has 0.8 kids per family. And to reproduce a society, to sustain population, you need to have about 1.2 kids per woman.
And because the Arabs are wealthy, they are doing homosexuality?
Oh, in Arab countries, these rich Gulf states, because of their religious conservatism, they keep a blanket on top of it. But just scratch on the surface like this. These Arab societies, homosexual liaisons are so ubiquitous. It's unbelievable. So I can tell you this. In this country, your children, his children, all the people aged, say, let me tell you, middle-class Ugandans of 15 to 25 or 30, either they will be practicing homosexuality or they'll be very tolerant of it. They're very different from our generations. What we are seeing is that homosexuality in Uganda has become so widespread and ubiquitous. And our conservative society, those of us who are just from villages and first time in urban areas, and our exposure is limited, we are getting shocked, and therefore the shock is producing laws like this. Unfortunately for my friends the Medadi Sagonas, when this shock comes, because as they may say, they may be seeing homosexuals everywhere, which is true, when they get this shock, they think that they can respond with a draconian law. Law is not the biggest problem for homosexuals in Uganda. I tell my friends in the Western embassies, the biggest problem for homosexuals is families. The other day, a kid told me, he's 22 or something, this boy went to his parents and said, look, came out and said, me, I'm a homosexual. The parents were very understanding, but the sibling, rather the uncles, the aunties, all these other wide extended family were so horrified by him, they ostracized him, and he entered a depression. He has been nursing a depression for 6 months. But the point I'm trying to say is that the Ugandan society, traditional conservative Ugandan society, is getting shocked by the ubiquity, or by the abundance of so many gays around, and their response is a draconian law.
At the beginning you were saying it's not there.
Oh, no, it's widespread. But I can tell you this, the draconian law does not stop homosexuality. What it does is to create debates like this. Many people have listened, others have become curious, others have become more knowledgeable, so it will promote tolerance. You ask me, I think the passage of this law is very good, because we are now debating it. Tomorrow we shall debate it in court. When Museveni says we shall debate it, when we're in court we shall debate it. And every time there is a debate, I am sure that the space for tolerance of homosexual practices or a homosexual lifestyle will grow.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So thank you so much for passing that law. I congratulate you. I'll buy you a beer.
Go practice it. We shall arrest you.
Andrew.
Okay, I am going to go to Kampala Road. I get a handsome young boy and have sex with him for everybody to watch.
We've been hearing in rumors. Now we are going to keep an eye on you.
Now I have confirmed it for you.
I think at this level now, with what Andrew is saying, we may need a police for the promotion of virtue and prevention of vice, a moral police. To many people, homosexuality in Uganda is gut-wrenching, but I know the president said he's waiting to understand whether it is by nature or by nurture. But what I'm sure, if he has sent this into law, you can be sure somebody is going to court. And after court, you can be sure probably court is going to quash this. Gentlemen, we are done. Good night, and God bless Uganda.
At least, unlike you.